What is your more favorite type of creative hides? Have you seen any while you're doing? How many geocaches do you have?
We're actually over 2,600.
That is fantastic. What are your favorites? Anything that comes to mind?
Well, probably still one of my favorites was the one that looked like a drain.
Yeah, we found one a couple of weeks ago that was really a creative hide, and that one it looked like a sprinkler head or a sprinkler shutoff actually.
Really?
In a drain, and it really was fairly obvious, even though we didn't know exactly what we were looking for, because the cords just didn't seem to be right. And looking at some of the logs, it's just like, okay, we know we can't go onto the person's property. Wait a minute, this doesn't look right.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, no one would ever have spotted it, but being that we are geocachers and looking for the thing that's out of the ordinary, it just jumped right out at us.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of times I think you tend to build, coin a phrase, a spider sense or a geocache sense, where you go, okay, that's it. I always love it where you think it is and it's not, and it's something that's nearby that's even more clever. Makes it enjoyable. Now, just out of curiosity, you have your favorite geocaches that you have found. Are there any horror stories that you have when it comes to geocaching?
Daryl, do you want to talk about the one?
I don't care. You can go first or I can go first.
Okay. My probably closest to horror story is when it was our first event. I was walking, plugging things into my GPS, not paying attention where I was really going, kind of off in the periphery, watching Daryl, hoping that if something gets in our way, he'll move, I'll move. And I'm walking and plugging in. Next thing you know, I just, bam, stop and I get pushed back. I look down and ran into a bench.
Oh, yeah. I guess that little thing about focus is a key thing to go through.
And I still got the scar right here for it, too.
Yeah, that was about 3-4 years ago now, and we had only been caching for about 4 or 5 months. And it was one of those poker runs, which we had a blast at, even despite the injury. So that was a great day.
What exactly is a poker run, just for our viewers?
Well, the poker run, and this is actually a modified poker run, but the poker run is you run around to these various locations and collect individual cards, usually concealed in envelopes. And when you come back, they collect all those cards and put together your hand, and whoever has the best hand wins.
Oh, that's great. That's another unique thing about geocaching in general. They reinvent doing the same thing in different ways just to make it that much more interesting. That's a lot of fun.
Well, and as I understand it, the poker runs actually came from motorcycle games. And a lot of the gangs used to actually put together these little games to have fun and keep them occupied. And that's where this came from, is they'd run out and bet whoever had the best hand got the free beer or whatever.
I'm sure that kind of goes along with us too. That's great. Just out of curiosity, again, you get to ask geocachers all the time. Any pet peeves about geocaching in general, or what you'd like to see different?
Just the people who take it too seriously. It's a game. It's meant to have fun. Let people play the way they want to play. Just because you think it needs to be done this way doesn't mean that everybody else does.
I'd really like to see a lot more focus on the community, especially from the powers that be, if it were. Because I really think that it is such a great community, and the community should be more the focus than the actual game pieces are.
Absolutely. Speaking of community, one of the nice things that we're going to be doing here today, we were invited to a geocaching event. Now, how many events have you guys gone to?
Fewer than 100, but I couldn't put a good number on it. I want to say somewhere around the 80s.
That's great. That's a lot more than I have, that's for sure.
Well, I think we've hosted probably 20 or so events just ourselves. They're not that hard to put together a quick meet and greet, and we really have fun with those.
That's great. Why don't you describe to them what a meet and greet is and what it takes to set something like that up?
Did you want to take that, or you want me to?
I can. Well, a meet and greet literally isn't just that. It's just people come together and we just talk about geocaching, find about some of the caches are nearby, see how everybody's doing, things like that. Meet and greets are probably one of the easiest ones to set up, just because of the fact that you can have something like this in the park setting, and just everybody comes, does a potluck, and off they go.
Yeah, that's one thing that I do know about geocachers. We love our food, so that's a good thing.
Well, and the typical meet and greet is really even simpler to set up than a park atmosphere. It's really just call the local pub or local coffee shop, see if they have enough room and are willing to host you for that day. You go in and people can just buy whatever they want, and you just sit around for an hour or two and chit-chat.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be a huge number of geocaching in any spot. You get 3 or 4 people together, let's go geocaching. That's always fun too. No, that's great.
Yeah, unfortunately, those don't get to be listed as events, though.
Yeah, unfortunately. That's really cool. Now, just out of curiosity, when it comes to just the plethora of geocachers that you talked to, you said you had a lot of people in the United States. What would you like to say to get people from, like, say, Europe?
Well, we'd love to get more Europeans on the show. Anyone that we haven't had, any country, is really where we're looking for. But especially, the Europeans, there's a lot of caching that goes on over there. And we haven't had all that many interviews from Europe. We've had a number from Australia, but we're always looking for more. And I mentioned, we had our first New Zealand interview, but he wasn't actually from New Zealand, so we're really looking forward to having some New Zealand interviews.
So let's make sure that we get the word out to the GeoSnippits viewers out there, especially my friends out in Eastern Europe and all around the world, to get in touch with the Cache-A-Maniacs. Why don't you go ahead and do a plug for your website?
Sure, that's Cache-A-Maniacs, one word, no spaces, no dash, the word cache, the letter A, maniacs.com. And if you want to get in touch with us, it's Cachamaniacs@gmail.com.
And also we're going to have on the GeoSnippits website and also on my blog, be sure to get there and click on the link for Cache-A-Maniacs. Guys, this has been a real pleasure, and thank you very much for having the interview with us today. We wish you all the luck in the world.
It was great for being on the show, and thanks for having us.
Thank you, sir. That's great. Thanks, sir. Okay, folks, so this is Headhardhat saying we hope to see you out on the trails real soon. Bye-bye, folks.